was these people are turned into commodities, but what was their religion? And what I presume is their religion among the enslaved people. Dr. Annette Lang, you're sitting here. I will quickly summarize, but you're welcome, I'm sure, to talk to her. For example, coming from West Central Africa, many of these people were from a failed state. By this time, have you heard that term before? A failed state called the Kingdom of Congo. And the Kingdom of Congo had, believe it or not, in the 1500s, the 16th century, had adopted Catholicism. Okay? And Christianity is all up and down the coast. Some of the enslaved people did have Christian backgrounds. Some did not have Christian backgrounds. For the enslavers here in the New World, those who are mostly engaged in the exchange of these people, religion isn't important. But once you're settled on a plantation, then your master, your owner, is going to have to engage the issues of religion among his enslaved captives. So early, in most of the colonial period, they did their utmost to prevent any sort of religious expression among enslaved people. By the 19th century, masters instead are promoting Christianity, but they're promoting Christianity that's based on, slaves obey your masters. Render unto Caesar that which is due to Caesar, right? In fact, this is why people would go to black Christian meetings during the antebellum era and wonder, why do they keep talking about this Moses guy? Why would they keep talking about Moses? He leads the slaves of Israel out of bondage, right? So just because the masters try to control the religious belief of the enslaved does not mean that they are able to. Did that help? Yes?
You mentioned early on that the slave trade was essentially illegalized by the early 19th century. What was the motivation behind illegalizing the slave trade but allowing slavery to exist within countries?
This is an entire field of inquiry and has caused enormous debates among historians. For many years, the argument was, and you've probably even maybe heard this about the United States before the Civil War, that slavery was a dying institution, it was pre-capitalist, it was not producing profits, and so these slaveholders were willing to let this happen. But then, in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, historians really delved deeply into plantation records and found the opposite was true. That plantations were growing, that plantations were producing greater profits, that slavery itself was extraordinarily profitable. So there are some historians now, and the most accessible book is called Buried in Chains by Adam Hochschild. The historians now argue that at least for Great Britain, ending the slave trade and then ending slavery was one of those few examples in history when a society acts against its own economic interest because of religious or moral or ethical beliefs. So that's very debated too. Do societies ever really do that? In the United States, of course, if you eliminate the slave trade, then that suddenly increases the value of every slave that's already here, doesn't it? So maybe as a slave owner, you might not think it's such a bad idea. But eliminating slavery is something else. And we have to kill 750,000 Americans to do that, don't we? Don't forget that. 750,000 people died to end slavery. That's a remarkable thing. Yes?
Going back to the religious question, how did that exchange happen with the language barrier?
That's a good question. Probably you guys have heard of people who refer themselves as Gullah or Geechee. You ever heard of these sort of people? And very often they're identified simply by the fact that they speak Gullah. Gullah is in many ways what would be called a pidgin language. It's a language that takes parts and pieces from a variety of different languages and puts them together into a whole. So there are bits of English, there are bits of Yoruba, there are bits of a whole bunch of different languages put together into these various pidgins. People quickly learn how to talk to each other, especially when every day you're put into a little cabin and all have to sleep together. And then every day you get up before dawn and all have to go out and work together. And then in the evening come back and are put back into that little cabin together. It doesn't take long for people to figure out how to talk to each other. So those languages then allow there to be clear communication among the enslaved. For the enslavers, they have to learn these languages or insist on English, which some do. Yes, Mark, is it time? One more question. Yes? A little louder. Liberia, good question. They never did. Liberia, however, proclaimed its own independence and became its own nation. It's always worked closely with the United States and has been economically integrated with the United States trade systems overseas. But in fact, even the flag of Liberia has resemblances to the American flag. Have you ever seen the flag of Liberia? Yeah. But it became its own nation. People continue to migrate there, often out of, well, usually two reasons. One, I'm never going to get my rights here in the United States. I may as well go to Africa and see if I can do better. Or two, people who go to Africa for religious reasons, to work in missions, to try to Christianize the people there, etc. So that still continues to draw people from the United States to Africa, even after emancipation from slavery in the United States. There are people going in the 1880s and the 1890s to live in Liberia. Thank you. I believe we're out of time. Mark, is there